Okay, so good morning. We will continue our discussion. And so my health is not going well, so I have not been able to check your papers. And not sure this week also. I have to do a lot of medical tests. So just somehow managing to take the classes. Later on, I will try to check. If not this week, then there is sufficient leaves in the next week. So at that time, I should be able to finish both the subjects during the puja vacation. So let us continue. Okay, can you see the notes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we had just started discussing about convection diffusion problems, and we want to see how to discretize general convection diffusion problem. Okay, and we had noted in the previous class that a typical convection diffusion problem will have four terms. Like if I consider a general case, the unsteady term, the convective term, the diffusive term, and the source term. Right. So we want to derive a discretized equation which will conform to our structure of the discretized equation, which is of this form: AP phi p is equal to summation over all the neighboring points a and b phi and b plus whatever is the effect of the source term b. Okay, so we want to derive the same form of the equation, whether it is a diffusion dominated problem or a convection diffusion problem. And why we want to derive the same form of the equation? Because then we can just supply the different values of AP and A and B to the solver, and the same solver can be used whether it is a convection problem or a diffusion problem, whether it has unsteady term or whether it's a steady state problem, whether it has source term or not. It does not matter. Only the values of AP, A and B's and B, these values will differ for different problems and different material properties. The method of solution will remain same, like TDMA for a 1D problem, line by line TDMA, or Jacobi method, or Gauss-Seidel method, any of this method for 2D or 3D problems. And at this point, we are not bothered with how we know the velocity. We are assuming that the velocity field is given to us either by solving the Navier-Stokes equation, or it is given directly, has been calculated by some other means like experiments or analytical method. So we know the velocity field, and obviously we know the other properties like density and diffusivity gamma, source term. And our task is to find out a discretized equation where this AP and ANV, these values, will be in terms of the properties like rho, gamma, u, okay, and the geometric parameters, delta x e, delta x w, things like the delta x. Okay, so geometric parameters plus properties. So these will be part of the AP and ANB. And because the geometric parameters and the properties, including u, is known, these AP and ANB and B values will be known. And accordingly, the solver can be supplied with these known values to get the correct solution for the phi at all the points. Okay. So if there are n points, there will be n equations and n unknowns, and at all the points we should be able to get the data. Only difference for the momentum equation. So this type of derivations, what we are going to see in the next few classes, is valid for any convection diffusion problem for all like with scalar quantities like energy, species. Okay, species means concentration. Even for u velocity, v velocity, w velocity, magnitudes. But those are non-linear, those equations for u, v, and w. So we need iterative schemes there. Otherwise, they are valid. The problem comes in solving Navier-Stokes equation is due to the unknown pressure, which for which there is no equation, separate equation, and we have to somehow modify the continuity equation to extract an equation for pressure. And that is very cleverly done, and that we will see later after this chapter. Okay, momentum equation. So anyway, let us go through this part again. These are very familiar to the students who have done CFD courses previously, fundamentals from Patankar's book. But this is needed for all the students who have not done any CFD course, and accordingly these are part of the syllabus. For others, it's more like a revision. So for discretizing a convective diffusive problem, we will start with a very simple case, simple 1D case. Okay. At this point, we will not consider the source term and unsteady term. Why we will not consider? Because we already know how to tackle the source term, and we know that how it will lead to this. Let me just keep this up. How it will lead to this term B. Okay. The same thing will apply here. There is going to be no change in the source treatment of the source term. Similarly, the treatment of the unsteady term also we have discussed, and the same thing will be valid, whether it is an explicit method or an implicit method, it will be valid. So no new information needs to be understood at this point regarding treatment of unsteady term. Okay. So these two we can just ignore to simplify the problem. We could have continued with these two also, but it will just have lead to more terms and more complications, without which also we can manage to understand the same things. What do we want to understand? We want to understand how to incorporate the effect of the convective term, this term, how to incorporate its effect into the discretized equation. So we will just start with the convective term and diffusive term. Diffusive term you cannot ignore because it is always present in a physical problem. It may be very small, negligible, but there is always some diffusion. So independently you cannot means we can try to, obviously we can derive a discretized equation for the convective part only, but for any realistic physical problem there may be a very small diffusive term always present. It can be very small, negligible, but still it will be present. Anyway, so these are our assumptions for discretization. Okay, that we have a steady state problem. This assumption is just to remove the unsteady term. Otherwise also we can do, but this will enable us to focus more on the actual things which we are worried about, convection term and diffusion terms. Okay. And so we have also ignored the source term. And initially we will consider a 1D problem. Why we will consider a 1D problem? Because all the schemes that we are going to discuss in the subsequent classes are derived for 1D problems, but then they can be subsequently extended to 2D or 3D problems. The treatment remains same. Only thing that changes is that additional terms have to be treated in the same way. For example, here we have east and west. In 2D problem, then we will have north and south also. In 3D problem, we will have top and bottom also. Okay. But the way these are treated remains same. So this is our governing equation, the same equation. But now after these assumptions, unsteady term has gone, the source term has gone. And because it's a 1D convection diffusion problem, we can write this del dot rho u phi as d dx of rho u phi. Okay, where u is the magnitude u, not this vector u. Okay, u magnitude means u velocity in the x direction is equal to d dx of, so this term d dx of gamma d phi dx. Okay, because we only have variation along the x direction. So this is our governing equation, and we want to discretize this using different methods to find out the discretized form of this. The discretized form should look like this: AP phi p is equal to summation a and b phi and b plus b. So we have to convert it to this form. Okay. And what will this APs and A and Bs and B contain? They will contain rho, u, gamma, which are known, plus any geometric parameters like delta x, delta xc, delta x w, things like that. Okay, which are also known after the mesh is generated. So we will start with the most common sense type of discretization. Without knowing the name also, we can just try to discretize. Like if no knowledge is there, means we do not know how to discretize, we can just use common sense to discretize and derive a scheme. And that scheme is known as central difference scheme, which is the most basic type of scheme. Or although it is basic, it can be very useful. Basic does not mean that it is not useful. It can be useful, but only for a specific type of problems, as we will see later. Okay. So what is this central difference scheme? Okay, let us consider our typical discretized domain, like we have done previously. You must have studied for the exam now. So we will consider a single control volume going from small w to small e, all traditional symbols, small w to small e, and it is represented by the grid point P at the center. The length of the control volume is delta x, and the distance between the neighboring grid points is delta xc in the east direction and delta xw in the west direction. So all the geometric parameters are known, and the values of the properties are known at the grid points. Okay, like rho, gamma, these are known at the grid points. So to find the rho and gamma values, so rho we will see later, but to find the gamma values, you know how to find them at grid point. What will we do? Generally, harmonic mean will be more suitable. Okay, we have already discussed this. Means at the interface values, what I was meaning. So let us try to discretize using common sense. Okay. So for control volume P going from west to east, the continuity equation. So what is the continuity for the 1D problem? Steady state. So there is no del rho del T term. And so continuity equation, you remember, right? Del rho del T plus del dot rho u equal to 0. Del dot rho u leads to d dx of rho u equal to 0 for 1D problem. And we have to remember what is the fundamental aspect of finite volume method. We need to integrate the equation, whatever is the governing equation, over the control volume. That is the fundamental aspect of finite volume method, right? So we will be integrating it over the control volume. Here is a 1D control volume. It goes from small w to small e. So going from small w to small e, d dx of rho u dx equal to 0. Okay. So which means that this integral can be written as rho u at east minus rho u at west equal to 0. So this rho u term we will encounter in all the problems wherever there is convection. This term we can denote by or it is denoted by the symbol F, okay, and is known as advective strength. This gives us the strength of the transport phenomenon, means basically strength of movement of any parameter like energy or concentration due to advection, due to flow. Okay, that's why it is known as advective strength. So at the east interface, we can write rho u as Fe. Okay, so F can vary, right? So F at the east interface, and at the west interface, it is equal to Fw. In this case, for the simple problem where it's a 1D problem and flow rate is constant, F will be same everywhere, but in 2D or 3D problems, F can vary for different grid points. For a 1D problem, by continuity equation, it means that to satisfy the continuity equation, F has to be constant along the direction of the flow. Velocity can change if the density changes, but the flow rate should remain constant. Because we are ignoring the cross-sectional area also. Anyway, so Fe is equal to Fw. Okay. Now we will try to integrate the, we'll keep this open. Integrate our equation, governing equation, d dx of rho u phi is equal to d dx of gamma d phi dx. Please feel free to ask me questions if you don't understand anything. We are going quite slowly, but still. Okay. So d dx of rho u phi is equal to d dx of gamma d phi dx, and again we have to integrate over the control volume going from west to east. So west to east d dx of rho u phi dx. So because we are integrating along the x, so we have this term dx. And similarly, the west to east d dx of gamma d phi dx. Okay. So on the left hand side, we can write this as rho u phi at east point, okay, minus rho u phi at west point. Okay. At this point, we do not know what are the values of rho u phi at east and rho u phi at west. So we'll just express in this term. And this we can write as gamma d phi dx at east minus gamma d phi dx at west. Okay. So then it can be written as rho u at east into phi at east. Okay, whatever is the value of phi is unknown. Okay, rho u at east into phi at east, and phi has to be interpolated in terms of phi at the grid points because we do not have any value of phi at the interfaces. On the right hand side we have gamma d phi dx at east, gamma e. So gamma at east point, we know how to find gamma at east point using harmonic mean or linear mean. Similarly, minus gamma w d phi dx at west point. So this rho u east can be written as f east based on our advective strength symbol. So f east into fe into phi minus fw into phi w is equal to gamma e. So this part we know how to treat this. We have already discussed. We can take piecewise linear profile assumption between adjacent grid points. Okay. So between adjacent grid points, we can assume linear profile, and this will give us gamma e phi e minus phi p by delta xc, okay, minus gamma w phi p minus phi w by delta xw. This part we have treated already, same as the diffusion problem. Only new thing now is the left hand side of the equation, fe phi minus fw phi w. Okay. So all these next schemes that we will study today and in the next few classes, the main issue will be how to resolve this fe phi e and fw phi w terms. Okay. So what will be the value of fe phi e at this east point and fw phi w at this west point? How will we interpolate them? Should we just linearly interpolate or should we do something else? That will be our question in the subsequent treatment of these terms. And first, the easiest way is to linearly interpolate. So with common sense, we will just linearly interpolate and try to find out what is the discretized form of the equation. Okay. So the main difference between different schemes is the treatment of the fe phi and fw phi w terms, as we have just discussed now. So first we will just linearly interpolate. Okay. So fe, whatever is the strength at this point, fe. So we will assume that fe can be found and fw can be found based on known data. Okay. Rho can be interpolated at these points using linear mean. Rho is known at the p and these points. And similarly, u also can be interpolated at these points based on known u. So what the problem states us, or what was the problem statement? U is given to us, rho is given to us, gamma is given to us, right? So gamma can be interpolated. So all these are given to us at the central points. So rho, if rho is known at p and e, we can find rho east as rho p plus rho e by 2. Rho capital P plus rho capital E by 2 will give us rho at this point. Similarly, if u is given at capital P and capital E, we can find u as u capital P plus u capital E by 2 will be the u at the interface. Similarly, u capital W plus u capital P divided by 2 will be the u value at this interface. Okay. So all the rho and u, so which means that Fe and Fw can be found at the interfaces. So the question is actually, how will we interpolate this phi and phi w? Okay. So in this case, okay, so even this is may not be correct. That correct is not the not a good word. May not be the most appropriate way of interpolating. Means taking the linear average and finding the value of Fe and Fw at these points may not be the most appropriate, but we'll see later. So at this point, we'll assume that we are just taking the linear average at this point. And for phi e and phi w also, we are taking the linear average, means mean. Okay. So phi capital E plus phi capital P by 2. And similarly, phi capital P plus phi capital W by 2. Just a second. All right. So this is the left hand side. Okay, Fe phi capital E plus phi capital P by 2 minus Fw phi capital P plus phi capital W by 2. On the right hand side, this gamma E by delta Xc. So gamma by delta X, we will define it as another parameter, which is we will call as diffusive strength. Okay, gamma by delta X gives us a measure of how much is the effect of diffusion. Okay, so if this parameter is large, it means that the diffusion is very strong. If this parameter is small, it means that diffusion is very small. Okay, so we will have two parameters. One is the F and one is the gamma by delta X, okay, which is D. So one gives the strength of advection, one gives the strength of diffusion. So gamma E by delta X is, we can write as DE, okay, where D is gamma by delta X, which is defined as diffusion strength. So DE phi E minus phi P minus dW phi P minus phi W. Okay, so up to this point it should be clear. So now we can write these things. We can just rearrange the terms. Okay, so this is our equation, and we can rearrange the terms. What we will do is we'll take all the P terms to the left hand side and bring all the E and W terms to the right hand side. Okay, and all the P terms to the left hand side, if we take the overall coefficient of the P, we can denote as AP, like we used to do previously. Similarly, on the right hand side, all the coefficients of phi E we will put together. So what are the coefficients of phi E? On the right hand side, we have DE minus Fe by 2. This will go to the right hand side and will become minus Fe by 2. So DE minus Fe by 2, right? So DE minus Fe by 2. So this is the value of AE. Similarly for dW, so minus minus it becomes plus. So plus dW, and this minus will become plus on the other side, plus Fw by 2. Okay, so this becomes dW plus Fw by 2. This is the coefficient of phi W. Okay. So A phi plus AW phi W, we know B is 0 because there is no source term. And on the left hand side, we have minus D. There will be plus D, because here already one minus is there. So it will take this to the left hand side, it will become plus D plus dW. So D plus dW plus Fe by 2 minus Fw by 2. Okay. D plus dW plus Fe by 2 minus Fw by 2, which also can be written as, so D plus Fe by 2 can be written as AE plus Fe. Okay. And dW minus Fw by 2 can be written as AW minus Fw. So ultimately Fe is equal to AE plus AW plus Fe minus Fw. By continuity equation, Fe is equal to Fw, which we have already derived. So this goes to 0. So AP is equal to AE plus AW. Okay. So AP is known, AE is known, AW is known. How are they known? Because we know what is DE value, we need to know what is Fe value in terms of the properties, gamma, delta X, rho U, in terms of these properties. So if we supply these values to the solver and this equation, so the equation is familiar to us. AP phi P is equal to AE phi plus AW phi W. So the same solver can be used for solving this. Say for example, TDMA, I can use TDMA solver for solving this. Okay, I can write them in matrix form and so try to solve this. And just supply the defined values of AE, AP, and AW. Only thing will change is the values will change because their format has changed. And we can get the correct solution. So this scheme is known as central defined scheme because we are taking this mean, okay, or the linear mean, basically, for interpolating the phi values at the, basically for interpolating the advective strengths at the effect of advective strength at the interfaces. Okay. Any questions?
Sir,
Tell me.
why we use the this continuity equation in condition from the continuity equation in the journal, this diffusion and reactive equation, and the
You could not.
last.
Can you again repeat your question, please?
Sir, this F equals to FW, this we have derived from the continuity equation.
Yes, yes.
So why we are using this in the general diffusion and convection equation?
So this actually, if you just write these terms, right? If you just rearrange these terms and write them as AP phi P equal to AE phi plus AW phi W, B will be 0. So you will get your AP as AE plus AW
Yes.
plus FE minus FW. Okay,
Yes.
this is the form you will get. But in general, we have seen previously that in most cases, we find that AP is equal to AE plus AW. Okay. So in this case also, by using continuity, we are able to show that because FE is equal to FW, this term actually cancels each other. So we are just left with FE is equal to AE plus AW. So ultimately, if AE and AW are known, directly AP can be calculated. It's just another way of writing this. It does not have any fundamental implication. It is that AP is equal to AE plus AW ultimately can be derived. And we will see that this is valid for all the other schemes also. Okay.
But sir, if we do not use that continuity equation, then AP equals to AE plus AW plus FE minus FW.
Correct.
So can we use this also in the schemes, or if we use the continuity?
You can use, but you will have to code it in a different way. Means in the code when you are writing, you will write AP is equal to AE plus AW plus FU minus FW. That can be used.
Okay.
It will not matter. It will not matter.
Okay, sir.
So remember, we don't even, so coding is ultimately these are standard conventions, but we can use our own conventions also. So we can write as A1, A2, A3, whatever. So, but these are standard practices. Okay. So if you write like this, it will be easier for others to understand. Otherwise, there is no like. That's why all these parameters are defined in or denoted by certain symbols, right? Like for conductivity, we use K. We could have used something else also. We could have used alpha, beta, whatever. But that has become a standard practice because just by looking at it, we can understand that people are trying to say that this is conductivity. Okay, unless otherwise mentioned. According, excuse me, just a second. Accordingly, we are also following the standard convention. Okay. There is another convention where you can write them as in terms of I plus 1, I minus 1, and the interfaces as I plus half and I minus half is the same thing. So there, this point will be I, this will be I plus 1, this will be I minus 1, this will be I plus half, and this will be I minus half. So the importance or the advantage of writing like that is that then you can just write the program in terms of I and just change the value of I going from 2 to n minus 1, something like that. Okay, if there is a 2D problem, this will be ij, I plus 1j, I minus 1j, I plus half j, I minus half j. So in the program, you have to like this. But otherwise, this is also a standard practice. Let us take a look at an example. Okay. Again, those who have done the course CFD with me are familiar with this. Let us consider this 1D problem, okay, and put some values. So the phi value at this point is given as 1, and this point is given as 2. Okay. and the diffusion strength is 1 at both the east interface and the west interface. Advective strength is also 1 at the east interface, west interface. Advective strength 1 means flow is in which direction? Advective strength is given as 1. What does it mean about the flow direction? Is it from west to east or east to west?
Sir, is it from west to east?
It is from west to east. Why is it from west to east? You are correct.
Because our integration goes from west to east and it will be from positive also.
Basically, positive values of advective strength means flow is occurring along the x direction. So here the x direction is from west to east. That's why we have also integrated it from west to east, because the x direction is in this direction, x coordinate. Okay. So any positive value means it is along the coordinate. If it was y direction, positive value will be along the y coordinate, and negative values will be opposite to the coordinate direction. So if it was -1 or -2, it means that flow will be in the other direction. So because it is positive, flow is coming from the west direction. Okay. What about diffusion? What is the direction of diffusive strength? Diffusion. Answers. So diffusion is occurring from west to east or east to west?
Sir, west to east.
West to east. Why west to east?
Sir, it is also like that advective strength.
No, I am asking about the diffusive strength. Diffusive strength is from west to east or east to west?
Sir, both.
Both directions, right? Diffusion does not have a particular direction. Diffusion occurs in all directions. It's a 1D problem, so it is in both directions. If it's a 2D problem, it will be all directions. So ultimately, the effect of diffusion is basically spreading in all directions. So it does not have any direction. It's not direction specific like velocity. So anyway, with these values, let us try to find A is equal to dE minus Fe by 2. Okay, that is what we have derived, right? That we have derived. Okay, D minus Fe by 2 and AW is equal to dW plus FW by 2. So 1 minus half is equal to half and AW is 1 plus half, 3 by 2. AP is equal to AE plus AW, which is half plus 3 by 2. So 4 by 2 equal to 2. Now we can write our equation AP 5P is equal to AE 5 plus AW 5W. This is our discretized equation, right? So AP is 2. So 2 into 5P is equal to AE is half. Half into 5 plus AW is 3 by 2. 3 by 2 into 5W. Put in the values of 5W and 5E. So half into 2 plus 3 by 2 into 1. divided by 2. So this is the value of phi p. This is equal to 5/4. Is this realistic or unrealistic? Means is the result physically consistent?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is consistent because it is within the two values, okay, two boundary values, 1 and 2. So we have discussed, notice that as the flow is from the left to right, okay, the value of AW is higher than that of AE. What was the value of AW? It is 3/2. A is 1/2. So effect of AW, effect of phi W is larger. So this effect should be larger. That is true because flow is coming from west to east. Okay. So for flow is from left to right, as F is positive, the value of AW is higher than that of AE. It means that upstream grid point value has more influence. This point has more influence on this point as compared to this point. Okay. And this is what we expect. So that I have written here. So as a result, what has happened? This is 1, this is 2, means here the value is 1, here it is 2. And this value is more near to this value. So we have found that this is 5/4. If there was no convection, what would have been the value here for only diffusion case? What would be phi p? Without calculation, just quickly tell me. No convection, what will be the value of phi p? You don't have to calculate. Why it is taking so much time? Just a second. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
What will be the value of phi p if there is no convection? Why these are taking so much time too? This is just very simple question. Just now I said that because of convection, the effect is more and it is near to phi w, phi p value that we have found 5/4. Because of effect of convection, it is near to phi w. If there is no effect of convection, there will be equal effect of W and E, right? Diffusion has equal effect in both directions. So this will be halfway between, so 3/2. If you solve also, you should get this, but it need not. You can directly say based on common sense. Is it clear? Not responding at all. Yes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now, let us consider another case where the flow strength has increased. Phi W is 1, phi is 2, the same as before. Okay. Phi W is 1 and phi is just 2. But and diffusion also is same, diffusion strength 1 for both the interfaces. But the advective strength is now 5. Okay. In both, obviously it has to be equal to satisfy continuity. So F at east is 5, F at W is also 5. Okay. And we need to find the value of phi p. Again, same process. A is equal to dE minus Fe/2, 1 minus 5/2, so minus 3/2. AW is dW plus 5/2, so 1 plus 5/2, 7/2. And AP is equal to AE plus AW, so minus 3/2 plus 7/2, equal to 2. So this gives us 2 into phi p is equal to minus 3 by 2 into 2 because phi is 2 plus 7 by 2 into 1. Okay. So this is minus 3 plus 7 by 2. This is half. So 2 phi p is half. So phi p is 1 by 4. Is this physically consistent?
No, sir.
It is not physically consistent. Which is not bounded. It has gone below the two side values, which it cannot do because there is no source terms. So it has to be between 1 and 2. Otherwise, it is not correct. So why this problem has occurred? Because one of the coefficient has gone negative. And because this coefficient has gone negative, it has given us an unrealistic solution. Okay. So we see that the central difference scheme is not always a good way to approximate or discretize the equation. It can lead to errors. And we have seen that it leads to errors when this diffusive, when the convective strength is large. Okay. So to summarize, this is not physically realistic as the value of phi p should be between that of phi east and phi west if there is no source term. And as I have told, this has happened as one of the coefficient was negative. Okay. So there are certain issues with the central difference scheme. Okay. When can the coefficients become negative? When either, say, if the f value is positive, means flow is from the left to right, so minus fe will be negative. So if f is twice the value of d, then this term becomes 0. And if is greater than twice the value of d, this term becomes negative. Here it was 5 times the value, it was negative. Similarly, if the flow is from the right to the left, so f will be negative. Okay. So if f is minus twice the value of d, okay. So again it will become, this term will be 0, and if it is less than minus means if the magnitude is greater than twice the value of d, then again this term will be negative, again this same issue will come up. So central difference scheme will only work if the absolute value of f is less than 2d. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen? One of the coefficient will become negative, and it will lead to problem, unrealistic solution. So it means that advective strength should not be too high relative to the diffusive strength. So central difference scheme is fine if we have very small advective strength or negligible advective strength and large diffusive strength. But whenever we have strong flows, okay, flow is the dominating factor for transportation, then central difference scheme fails. Okay. So we see that this relative magnitude of f and d seems to be an important parameter. Okay, because we are seeing that depending on this, it is decided whether a scheme will work or not. Okay, so as a result, we can define a non-dimensional number, which is known as Peclet number. You must have heard about it. So where Peclet number is given as the advective strength by the diffusive strength, f by d. Okay, so f by d. So how we have defined f and d? F is rho u and d is gamma by delta x. So f by d is rho u delta x by gamma. So rho u into some length scale delta x divided by the diffusivity gamma. Okay. For a conduction problem, this will be like rho u, then length scale L, okay, by alpha. So yes. So f by d. So this is known as Peclet number. It's a non-dimensional number. You can verify that it's a non-dimensional number. So it means that if Peclet number magnitude is less than 2, Peclet number can be both positive or negative depending on the direction of flow. If flow is in the direction of the axis, it is positive. If it is in the opposite direction, it is negative. If Peclet number is less than 2, then the central difference scheme will work correctly. If it is greater than 2, it will not work correctly. Okay. So if it is equal to 2 also, it will work. In certain cases, it will fail, but otherwise it will work. Okay. So central scheme, different scheme works well from -2 to 2. Okay, Peclet number. There is another problem which is related to the first problem only. Okay. So there can be some cases where the diffusion is very small. Okay. Diffusivity is very small. So the strength, diffusive strengths are almost negligible. So in that case, AP is equal to, how we have defined AP? AP is D plus FE by 2 plus dW minus FW by 2. This we have defined here. Okay. You can write that and you will find that this is a value. So if D values are 0, almost 0, so AP becomes equal to FE by 2 minus FW by 2, which is equal to 0 by continuity equation. Okay. So if AP becomes 0, then you cannot calculate the value of phi p, because phi p is AE phi plus AW phi W divided by AP. So it becomes undefined. Okay. So this again, so it means that at the limit of very small diffusion, the central difference scheme does not work correctly. It is the same as the previous point, basically. At the limit of diffusion very small, Peclet number will become very large. It will go beyond 2, obviously, and it will not work. Okay. So central difference scheme does not work at the limit of very big diffusion. So these are some of the limitations. Although we have started with a common sense approach, we see that it works only in some limited cases. In other cases, it is not going to work. And why this has happened? Because although intuitively we have just decided that we should use the average at this point, but for these cases, taking the average is not correct. Why it is not correct? Because this point value should be more affected from the flow direction. Okay, from this direction, if the flow is coming, this value should affect this point strongly. But this value should not affect this point strongly, because the flow is, so if this point is at high temperature and this is at low temperature, this point will also be at high temperature because the hot fluid is coming from this side. Okay, the cold fluid from here is not going in this direction. Only some diffusion can occur. So as a result, this point should be strongly affected by this upstream. Upstream means the point before in the flow direction. Okay, so from the upstream point. Similarly, this point, it will be strongly affected by this temperature, not by this one. Okay, because the flow is coming in this direction. So because we did not consider that, we have assumed that the effect here is same for like half of this plus half of this. It has led to this problem. In the next scheme, we will now modify based on this our new understanding, and we will assume that this point is very strongly affected by the upstream side point. Similarly, this point is very strongly affected by the upstream side point, and there is no effect of the downstream side point. Okay. This scheme with this understanding is known as upwind scheme. Okay. Let us take a break here and then we will continue. Okay. So we'll continue our discussion. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a second. All right. So we have discussed what is the drawback of central defense scheme, and we'll try to devise a scheme which will avoid that drawback, which was that we have considered equal contribution from both sides to the interface point. But it should not be true, because the upstream side from where the flow is coming should have a strong contribution. Okay. So what we will do is we will assume that the entire point interface is entirely affected only by the upstream side point, and there is no effect of downstream side point. Okay, as if there is a strong flow. So here, if the temperature is say 400 Kelvin, and here it is 300 Kelvin, the temperature at the interface is also 400 Kelvin, because the flow is coming from this direction. Okay. So similarly, if it was 200 Kelvin, this was 400 Kelvin, the interface will be at 200 Kelvin if the flow is coming in this direction. If the flow comes from the opposite direction like this, then this point should be strongly affected by this value. So if it is 400, if it is 200, this will be 200 in that case, because the flow is coming from this direction. Okay. So depending on the flow direction, whatever is the flow direction, that point will affect the interface. So that is the idea behind the upwind scheme. Okay. So to summarize, the main drawback of the central defense scheme was due to the use of linear profile assumption for the advective term, where we defined Fe phi is equal to Fe phi e plus phi p by 2, because we have taken equal effect of both at this interface. Okay, phi e as phi p plus phi e by 2. Now we'll not do that. In case of convection, the value of interface should be more strongly influenced by the upstream value, which is the direction from which the flow is coming. So this is the basis of upwind scheme, as I've already described. Okay. So with this now, we can write this scheme as follows. Okay. So phi e, this point, is equal to phi p if Fe is greater than 0. Means if the flow is in the positive x direction, the flow is coming like this. Okay. Flow is coming like this. So this point should be affected by phi p. So phi is equal to phi p. If the flow is in the other direction, if the flow is coming in this direction, if F is negative, then this interface should be affected by this E point. So phi E should be equal to phi capital E if Fe is less than 0. So we can write this in this way, Fe phi E. Okay. Remember, we are trying to interpolate this Fe phi E, right? In our equation, we have Fe phi E and Fw phi W. So we want to replace this Fe phi. Previously, we had replaced like this, but this has not worked out in all cases. So now we want to replace them in a different way. And this upwind scheme tells us that Fe phi E is equal to phi p max of phi e comma 0 minus phi e max of minus Fe comma 0. Let us try to understand this. So if Fe is positive, maximum of some positive value and 0 is positive. So maximum of Fe and 0 will be Fe. Okay. So this term will be phi p into Fe. And maximum of minus Fe. So Fe is positive, minus Fe is negative. So this will be maximum of some negative and 0 is 0. So this term will become 0. Phi into 0, 0. So Fe phi will be phi p into Fe. Okay. Or Fe phi p. So basically it means that phi small is equal to phi capital P. And this is what we have written here. So this leads to the same case if Fe is positive. If Fe is negative, then this Fe is less than 0, so maximum of negative and 0 is 0. So phi p into 0 minus phi e into minus Fe will be positive. So maximum of minus Fe and 0 will be minus Fe because this is positive. So minus phi into minus Fe. So it will become Fe phi capital E, or phi small, Fe phi small is equal to Fe phi capital E. So basically phi small is equal to phi capital E, as we have written here. So this will become the same as this. So it satisfies both the conditions, top condition and bottom condition. So we can write Fe phi in this form. Similarly, you can also see that Fw phi w can also be written in the same form. Okay, so it can be written. So if F is positive, the upstream side should have strong effect. So phi w will have strong effect. If F is negative, the downstream side should have strong effect. It's the new upstream side, not the downstream. New upstream side will be the effect of phi p will be present. Okay. So now we can replace them in our equation, discretized equation. These equations we can replace. d dx of rho u phi equal to d dx of gamma d phi dx. So again, integrating the governing equation from west to east, d dx of rho u phi dx is equal to west to east d dx gamma d phi dx dx. So these things we have already done for central difference. Rho u phi east minus rho u phi west is equal to gamma d phi dx east minus gamma d phi dx west, or Fe phi minus Fw phi w is equal to gamma E by delta xc phi E minus phi p minus gamma w by delta xw phi p minus phi w, or Fe phi E minus Fw phi w is equal to d phi E minus phi p minus dw phi p minus phi w. Up to this point we had derived previously. Now the new change will come. Okay, where Fe phi E which I have to replace using this expression, and Fw phi w we have to replace using this expression. Once you do that, you will get the equation in this form: Fe phi p is equal to A phi plus Aw phi w, where A will be d plus maximum of minus Fe0. Let us try to look at this first term. Okay, so A is the coefficient of phi. So from this term we have a de here. Okay, there is no other phi terms, and there will be one more coefficient from this Fe phi term. What is this coefficient? On the left hand side, this was minus phi e, maximum of minus Fe0. So on the right hand side, it will become, this minus will become plus. So phi e, maximum of minus Fe0. So coefficient of phi will become maximum of minus Fe0. So as a result, the overall coefficient is de plus maximum of minus Fe0. Same way you can find out Aw to be dw plus maximum of Fw0, not minus, plus. Okay, and Ap will be equal to, so again you take all the values to the left hand side, you can write down, and it will come out as d plus dw plus maximum of Fe, 0 plus maximum of minus Fw, 0. Okay, so this is ultimately the scheme which is known as upwind scheme. Okay, which assumes that the upstream side is the sole contributor to the interface. This Ap can also be written in a slightly different way. So d plus dw, this maximum of Fe, 0 can be broken down into two parts: maximum of 0, minus Fe plus Fe. Okay, if you add this Fe here, it will become Fe, 0. So we have broken this into two parts. Okay, 0 minus Fe and Fe plus Fe. Similarly, this maximum of Fw minus Fw, 0 can be written as maximum of 0, Fw minus Fw. If you add this here, it will become minus Fw, 0. So because Fe minus Fw is 0 by continuity equation, ultimately we see that Fe is equal to d plus maximum of 0, minus Fe, which is Ae. Okay, and plus dw plus maximum of 0, Fw, which is Aw. So Ap is again equal to Ae plus Aw. Okay, similar to the previous scheme. So here there will not be any negative coefficients. Why? Because D has to be positive, dw has to be positive, because gamma values are positive, non-zero and positive. And maximum of something comma 0 is always going to be at least equal to 0. So it cannot be negative. Okay. So all the coefficients AE has to be at means AE cannot be negative, AW cannot be negative, and AP, which is equal to AE plus AW, also cannot be negative. Okay. No negative coefficient also means the Scarborough criteria is satisfied. And this scheme is more robust and can be used for various Peclet number. Okay. So for very large Peclet number where the fluid is very strong, flow is very strong, then this scheme actually is very good in those stages. However, let us see that it overestimates the effect of diffusion. The effect of diffusion should be even less, but still it considers that there is significant effect of diffusion. So that will be clear later on. Otherwise, up to now, what we have learned is that if Peclet number is less than 2 or greater than -2, between -2 and 2, then central defined scheme is good for very large Peclet numbers, particularly beyond -2, like less than -2 or greater than 2. This is upwind scheme should be much better. Okay. We will go back to our previous example. What was the previous example? Phi W equal to 1, phi equal to 2, D is equal to 1, dW equal to 1, Fe is equal to 5, and Fw is equal to 5. Okay. And we wanted to find phi P, and we found that with these values, the central difference scheme failed. So using the upwind scheme now, what is AE? AE is DE plus maximum of minus Fe 0. So DE plus maximum of minus Fe 0 is 1 plus maximum of minus 5 0. So 1. What is the thing that we can see from here? There is no effect of flow on AE. Only the effect of diffusion is present. Flow is not contributing anything. What is AE? AE is the contribution of phi at this point. So because this flow cannot affect this point, because flow is in the other direction, the flow is not contributing at all at this point. But in central difference scheme, we were assuming that flow is contributing at this point. But here we see correctly that flow is not contributing at this point. Only diffusion is contributing. Similarly, AW, which is dW plus maximum of Fw comma 0 is 1 plus maximum of 5 comma 0, which is 6. Okay. So AP is equal to. So again, let us, if you look at it, AE plus AW, sorry, this point should be strongly affected by this flow. Just a second. Yeah. This point should be strongly affected by this point. Okay, AW. AW is the coefficient of this. So whatever is the contribution of this point to this point, because the flow is in this direction, because Fw is positive, we see that there is a large effect of flow. Okay, diffusion has an effect of 1, but flow has an effect of 5 in terms of whatever units these are. Okay, so ultimately AP is equal to 1 plus 6 equal to 7, and if you replace the values, AE, which is 1 into 2 plus 6 into 1 by 7, so it comes as 8 by 7. It is very near to 1 because of strong effect of flow. Okay, this is physically realistic as the value of phi P is between phi E and phi W, and value of phi P gets influenced more by upstream side, that is the value of phi W, okay, which is to be expected. Any questions? Is it clear what we have discussed now?
Yes, sir.
All right. So before going into the next scheme, okay, so there are better schemes as compared to these schemes what we have discussed. Although this uppoint scheme is still very widely used in actual research work or in actual softwares, uppoint scheme is very widely used because it can give quick, it can be coded quickly, it is simple to implement, and it can give correct results over a wide variety of problems. Okay, but there are more accurate schemes, and we will see why those schemes are more accurate. Before going into that, what we are going to do is we will try to find whether there is an exact solution for variation of phi between 2 points if it is a 1D convection diffusion problem. Okay, like these points, like say these points are present, right? P and E. So if the phi p value is known and phi e's value is known, and if this governing differential equation is this equation, what is d dx of rho u phi plus d dx of gamma d phi dx, whether we can actually find the value of phi, how it is varying between P and D. If we know the actual variation, whether it is linear, non-linear, exponential, logarithmic, whatever is the expression, then we can easily find the value at any point. And particularly at the interface, we can find the value. And that will be the correct value, exact value. Okay. Now this exact value will be only true for this 1D equation or 1D domain because we will be deriving it for 1D. But it will give us good hints or good pointers for 2D or 3D problems also. Okay. So that is what we will try to do. We will try to find an analytical solution for the 1D convection diffusion problem without unsteady and source term. So without unsteady and source term, there exists a 1D, there exists a analytical solution. And this gives physical insight about the nature of variation of any parameter phi. It can be temperature, concentration, whatever. It gives a variation from one grid point to the other grid point. And it is directly applicable. It is exactly correct if it is a 1D problem without source term and without unsteady term. But if it is a 1D problem with source term or unsteady term, or if it is a 2D and 3D problem or 3D problem, it is not exactly correct, but it will still give us very accurate description of the variation of phi that happens. Okay. Although not directly applicable to more complex problems, indirectly we can understand the nature of variation of phi for other types of complex cases also. Okay. Actually, I will continue this part. I don't want to stop midway. I will continue this in the next class, which is on Wednesday. I will start it from here, and we will see all these effects on like how to derive it, and then what are the limiting cases in the next class on Wednesday. So we'll finish early today. Any questions?